welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachael
and Neal Young. We're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachael and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey!
Welcome, everybody. Today, we have an awesome guest from HDPhotoHub. It's Ian Kautzman, who is the COO of HDPhotoHub, who's going to give us the inside scoop of all about HDPhotoHub and kind of how it got started and all the cool stuff, and maybe the inside scoop on some stuff that may be coming will be pretty exciting as well. Rachael and I both use HDPhotoHub, and it helps our business a ton. So this is kind of a cool little interview that we'll have for you today with Ian. Ian, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hello everybody. I'm excited to be here. I was excited to hear about Rachel's like the summer series of her power team and then getting the invite to come in onto the show and being kind of part of her back end and power team, and it's awesome. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, you're a big part of my power team, Ian.
Yeah, thank you. We like it when we're the tech guys for the real estate businesses out there. Real estate photography business is super fun.
Yeah,
love it.
Cool.
It's funny when my clients are like, "Oh, how do they have a question, like some tech question?" I'm like, "Oh, let me ask IT," and I'm like, "Ian, help me."
Yeah,
IT. That sounds
exactly.
so
Yeah,
official.
I always like to joke with people that really that's it, right? Like we're sort of like the tech guys for the photography businesses out there, and it's super fun. We kind of like to be in that position.
Yeah, and it is. You're totally like a member of the team too, the sort of the silent team member, right? Because you help a ton on my stuff too, not just Rachel's power team. But
right.
yeah, you guys are amazing. I mean, I try to think back to before I did HDPhotoHub, there was so many things that I'd have to pull my hair out about, like invoices and all this stuff that I don't worry about anymore. And I kind of forget after I use it for so long. It's so nice to not be chasing money and stuff like that too. So it is.
Sure.
It is a big help.
And the scheduling. We'll get into all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so many good things.
No, I think I was looking. I think it's been like almost just barely past like your 1 year mark that you've been using us.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
I was cruising through to get all prepped to be on here and make sure that I could talk know what I'm talking about while I'm talking about you guys and what you're doing in your business. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh man, it's like almost to the date. I think it was like a week ago or so.
Oh really? That's
awesome.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool. It feels like even longer than that for me, but yeah, that's probably right. That's funny. Yeah, it feels like this is just how I've been doing business, but that's right. It's only been about a year. That's cool.
Yeah, Rachael,
you're like I looked at your account and Neal, you haven't done a photo shoot in over a year. What's going on? You're totally full of it.
Nope. He's busy.
Not true, because you use my code and I get an email every time you send a job off. Like,
I
Neal's
know, right?
busy. Go Neal.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So tell us a little about what your position is, Ian, and how you got into the mix on this kind of.
Sure. Yeah. So, right, COO, so operations, it kind of is to me, it means like a little bit of a lot of everything, kind of all over the board when it comes to product development. Talking to customers like you guys out in finding out what are they looking for in their businesses, what other challenges are they having, what are new ideas or ideas that they feel like could make the system better, make little pieces more efficient for them. So I get to do a lot from sort of not like the coding, right? I'm not like that crazy smart when it comes to the coding stuff. I'm techie, but I don't really write a lot of code. But really like kind of talking through and really understanding like what's the root of the thing that we're trying to do, the thing that we're trying to accomplish, and how can I explain it to our team of developers who are all smart and write all the code and everything like that to make it work the way that that we want and the way that we think it's going to help the businesses. So, our customer service team, still working with them to making sure that they've got all the tools that they need to be able to help all the different businesses that are out there that are looking for support when they need it. Our marketing team, our design team, and then just kind of on the executive team for strategy and what do we see, where do we see the market going, what do we see coming in the next year, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years, all that kind of planning and stuff too.
Cool.
So yeah, lots of hats.
And how long
The
have you?
idea man a bit, huh? Yeah, the idea man and kind of bring them to fruition a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes it depends on what it is, but it's more like ideas that come organically just from being connected with our customers and having great conversations and really talking to people about their business, whether it's customers that have been with us for a long time or people that are just getting started and like understanding. We'll get a question like, I do this in my business. Is there a way that your system can handle that? And sometimes it's like, oh man, I bet that's like actually really awesome for their business that they do that. Like, I wonder if there's a way that we can help systematize that, or I wonder if there's a way that we could make it more automated.
Yeah.
So really, it's just organic ideas, I suppose. Yeah, with the company since 2019. So I was hired as the first official employee of the company way back when.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, our founder Herb Dirks had got it started. I think we got our first paying customer like in the 2018 era, and the system was very different than what it is today. He'd been in the real estate technology space he's been in there for over 20 years now. So like in the really late 90s, he was working in that space, and he had an opportunity to go in and kind of build his own thing. And as he got that together, him and I had worked together in the past for like 8 years. So we knew each other pretty well, knew like how we worked together. And so it was fun when I got the call from him and we were kind of talking, and he was telling me about this new thing that he had going on and what it was doing. And he felt like there was some momentum building, and it was kind of like a leap of faith. Like you guys know, right? When you kind of stop doing your safe gig and you jump in and you're like, I'm getting into my photography business all the way. It was a little bit of that kind of leap of faith of like, I'm pretty sure that this is going to work. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. It's been awesome ever since.
That's
Just
cool.
real quick, because we didn't really explain what HDPhotoHub is. And for any of our listeners who have no idea what we're talking about or who this person is,
That is a valid point.
yes, HDPhotoHub is a back-end system for real estate photographers. So it provides everything from like a photo gallery to deliver your photos to your clients, invoicing, scheduling, property websites and marketing kits. What am I missing?
Yeah, like I would call it like order management or task management when you have a team and being able to assign certain shoots or certain pieces of a shoot to other team members. Tracking payroll reporting stuff for team members makes it super easy working with the contractors.
Monthly income is on there too, which is nice. That always motivates me.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
We
some
need
of
to
the
send
goals.
out another email. I need more orders to make my goal.
Yeah, I saw when I was poking around, I saw Neal doesn't have that turned on. We'll have to turn that on for him.
Oh, no.
In there so you can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's pretty cool, especially now you've been with us for a year. That's like when it really starts to get kind of interesting.
Start to get the data.
You can see how you did on the past year, so it's a fun thing to do in the account. But
yeah, it's annoying because last year's numbers were better, and I'm like, well, I'm getting close, but not.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I'm like, I don't know if I want to see compared to last year, but
my first year of a loss.
I don't know. I haven't looked specifically at the Seattle market or New Hampshire. Right? I haven't looked at what New Hampshire's doing, but nationwide, I mean, with listings being down, man, I think June it was like 30%. I think Realtor.com reported that it was a little bit less than that, maybe like 25 or 27%. But I was kind of looking at some numbers that we had captured from them the year before, and it was more like 30. So I mean, I like breaking even this year, or kind of doing even like the same amount of revenue as you did last year, knowing that there's like nationwide 30% listings, less listings out there is great. So I know sometimes it's never fun, right? Real estate's just an up and down market, and it is, and it comes and it changes, year to year, and sometimes we get in these little stretches where there just aren't as many listings. I'm excited for interest rates to maybe come down sometime, whenever in the future. Whenever that happens, I guarantee I'll be cheersing and celebrating and
Well, that's the good
all
news. That's the good news, right? Is that this
yeah.
might be just a little bit of a reset, and some of that stuff could even out, could be great for the market. So hopefully that'll be the case. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, right? I mean that just happens in the business. It's just part of being in the industry, and it's all
Yeah.
right.
Totally. Totally.
Perfect.
So, Rach, how long have you been using HD Photo Hub then?
Ian, how long have I been using HDPhotoHub?
Man, I didn't look, but I'm pretty certain it was during 2020.
I think it
So
was early 2020. I'm pretty sure.
I think it was actually maybe right before the COVID low.
Yeah, like March, maybe
Mhm,
February or March of 2020, I think.
right
So you,
around there, and then everything, right? The world came to a halt there
Mhm.
for a little while, but yeah, that was a crazy time for us as a business, right? So I had been with the company for about a year at that point. So we were feeling really good. We had awesome growth through 2019, kind of just as we expected, and we were really doing a lot of great things towards the end of 2019. 2020 came in and it was off to a great start, off to a good market, and then all of a sudden COVID hit and everything was like, what
Shut
is going
down.
on? Yeah, and at first it was like, boy, what in the world? How's this all going to shake out? Boy, we got very, very busy, right? We had a just a huge influx of calls coming in because there
mm,
were so many businesses out there that are like, man, I'm right in the middle of in like, second and third week of March or all through April. I am supposed to be like running around crazy busy doing shoots all day long, and instead I'm like having to pause, and they're saying, like, in some areas they couldn't go and shoot for like a period of a couple of weeks, and being entrepreneurs, they just want to work on their business. And so we got just a ton of big influx of customers and people reaching out because they're like, all right, well, what do I do? I guess I wanted to get a system in place, so I'm going to go see what's happening and start working
yeah,
to do that. So yeah, 2020 was a crazy time
I bet.
for us from a business perspective. And then as everything kind of recovered and came back and shoots were busy, it was very fun. It was a good year for us.
Yeah, that's a great time to get things set up when it's slow. Like right now, if it's a little slow, like take this time to set up your systems because it's not going to be
Hmm.
slow forever. You're
Yeah,
going to
Right,
get
that's right.
right.
That's right. Take
definitely.
the opportunity. I know that's the thing. You always wish you had time when you're busy
Yeah.
to do those things, and when you're not, so you just, yeah, take it while you got it. But I'm curious to know, Ian, so like during those times, what's the biggest reason that people will come to you guys? What are they looking for the biggest, like, saving grace or solution or whatever?
It really depends on where the company kind of is in their business, right? Like
Mm,
as a really new shooter, they might just be looking for a way for their clients to place an order online, or they might just be looking for a different delivery platform. Like they want something that's branded to them, fully white labeled, not just sending like Dropbox links, right? They kind of want to raise their professionalism.
hmm
But more established businesses that now they've grown and they've got 6, 8, 10, 12 shooters. They're looking for a more hardened system, a system that's going to really work and do all the things that they're doing in their business and kind of continue to support that growth. In some cases it might be somebody looking to expand regionally, so they're going to go start shooting in another nearby city, and they realize that the system that they're using just it's not working anymore for them to be able to do that. But I
mm,
think mostly, like, if I was to kind of like boil it down to why do people end up calling us, they're really just trying to get it down, and they say, I want one system for my business where I can really track a lot of my management of like what's happening in my business. So one place where somebody puts the orders in, everything can get invoiced from there, everything can get delivered there. It really just kind of becomes the hub for the business, and it's just the organization that helps bring is just so great for the businesses, where particularly if it's a business that's really scaling and they're about to see a lot of growth. It's like, oh, I've heard the story so many times of people coming in and saying, oh my gosh, thank you, thank you, we're so glad we found you. Like I started missing appointments and I had like too much crazy stuff going on, and your system just brought it in and made it simple and kept it organized. I see that and hear that a lot.
I think I
yeah.
tell you that every time I see you.
I
Like,
think so.
you
I think
saved
so,
me. Thank
right?
you. Yeah.
That was so the time that you came in, that was like right when you had just got another business's client list, right? Somebody was
Mhm.
leaving the area and they had been shooting with a lot of people. So you were about to go through like kind of a big expansion of new customers and clients and things.
Yeah, and I did a Google search just looking at other photographers, and I came across a guy in the Seattle area, and he was offering a property website. And I was like, that is so cool. Like, how do they do that? And I'd had a couple clients ask, and I was like, no, I don't do that. I'm like, I'm going to build you a website. Like, that's
Right.
crazy. I'm
Yeah.
thinking you have to do it
Yes.
from scratch. Like, what do I look like?
I
I'm
had the
just a
same
photographer.
thought the first time I heard it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just looked up, like, I don't even know what I Google searched, but I found you guys and did my research. And I was like, I love the property website and marketing kit. Loved the look of your site, the order form, the fact that I could white label it. It was white labeled and I could brand it to my branding. That was huge because I was using Shootproof to deliver my photos, Wix to invoice, my like Apple Calendar to put all my scheduling in. So I'd put the client's name, the address of the property, and what they ordered, and that like literally in the title on my calendar. Like, how if my calendar went down, I was screwed because I didn't have it backed up anywhere else. So it was really pieced together, like you were saying. And so when I found you guys, I was like, oh my gosh, they do everything. This is great.
Oh yeah, and it's,
Yeah.
it's so crazy to think, right? Like when you go, man, I remember when I used to hand create those events on my calendar of like
Mhm.
copy and paste the person's name, copy and paste the address, and put it all in there. And right now, you just have an order come in, they pick their scheduling, it automatically pops in, and you don't
Yeah.
touch it at all, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the stuff that really like that's what drives us, that's what moves us when we're like, man, how something that our founder says often is, what are the things that people are doing today manually that really computers should just be doing for them. And right, it's not everything. There's a whole bunch of aspects of the business that technology isn't going to change, technology isn't going to make different, but the things like that where it's like, all right, you get an appointment and then it goes onto your calendar, like, yes. You don't
Right.
need to manually do that, you
Right.
don't need to do the repetition data entry, like, let's
Yeah.
do it one way. I
Oh, just
love
having, I was gonna say, just having your shopping cart set up with all your prices and everything, so I never have to send out my doc about here are my rates anymore and confuse people because they see 1,000 different rates depending on square footage and all this stuff. Now they just go through my system that I set up and, oh, it's 1,500 square feet. Oh yes, I'd like regular photos. Oh yes, I'd like drone photos. Oh yes, I'd like Matterport. And there's the total. They don't ask me how much is it and try to barter with me. It's right there.
And one of the
right.
best parts of that too, if they go into the order form, they have to sign up for an account. So now I
Yes.
have their first and last name, I have
Yep.
their email address, and there's an integration on HDPhotoHub that integrates with MailChimp, which
Yep.
is where I send out my newsletter. So I just update that before I send my newsletter out, and now all those new people that signed up are now getting my newsletter. So
Right.
it's kind of
Right.
neat.
Again, like
Love
just
it.
automating that stuff and connecting systems, kind of
Yeah.
being the hub. It's the shopping cart is super cool, and that's funny that you say that, Neil. Like, you're right, they just go online and they see all the pricing. Now all of a sudden it's not them trying to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing too is I feel like people, they end up noticing some of the other products that you guys do offer, right?
Right.
Like there's particularly for the people out there that allow their clients to do the real-time scheduling with all the drive time and all that. Maybe we'll talk about that later, all the awesome benefits in there, right? I mean, there's like incentive for that customer to go and actually put their order online when they can choose some of that scheduling and enter it. And then what ends up happening is they're like, oh my gosh, yeah, they do drone photos, this is like a perfect house for drone photos, finally, like I'm gonna do that,
Right.
rather than just getting that text message that's like, hey Rach, I need a shoot next Wednesday, I'll do the normal, do you have any time slots, right? And it's
Hmm.
just not like, right, we all know that happens, and it still happens even when you have an online order form, right? We all
Yeah.
know that. But
There's a
it's just
few.
so right. But for sure, like the people that you can be like, hey, yeah, if you go and just book online, like you'll see my full calendar right there. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh, they didn't just order the usual, they ended up adding drone photos because they're like, yeah, that totally makes sense for this listing. They
Yeah.
just stop and think about it for a second, right?
Yeah, and that you can add the visual piece in there too, where next to your offering you can have an actual drone photo of some cool place, and they're like, oh, maybe I should do that for this listing. So it's not just seeing it, but all visually actually seeing like, oh yeah, maybe I do need that cool thing. Yeah, that does work. I'm surprised sometimes when people book stuff that before they wouldn't have booked, just going off my price sheet, which is
Right. Right. And when you're thinking about, like, what does that do in like a year like this where the listings are down and you're like, well, my numbers are maybe down a little bit, or man, my numbers are even. And you're like, but how's that possible? Because there's 30% less listings or 25% less listings. And really a lot of that is people coming in and ordering more services, right? Like you guys have done a great job of offering a lot of services for your clients and giving them the ability to spend more with you each order. I
Yeah,
think
I've seen an increase in services ordered.
one thing that's kind of interesting about the market being down, and that we've seen in the past, or I guess I don't know that I mentioned this. So I've been around I mentioned that Herb's been around the real estate technology business for like 20 years. I've been around it since 2009, so I've got 14 years in there now. Starting big milestone next year, 15 years in the business. But we've been around for a while, and so we've really seen, some of these different cycles of the real estate market. And we definitely remember when listings got really scarce. Really what happens is agents start paying more attention to how am I going to get that next listing? What do I need to do? And
Mhm.
really that, from your guys' standpoint of being able to be like, hey, you need to do photos, you need to do Matterport, or whatever 3D solution you're using, you need to do drone. And it's not about selling that property. Like if you've got a good property that
That's right.
drone's going to look great on, awesome, all the better. But it's all about them trying to present and get that next listing, right? Like how are they going to outdo that competition when there's 25% less listings out there right now for them to get? Every agent's working harder to get their next listing. And
Right.
like what do they have and what are the tools, and
Yeah.
the great photography that you guys can provide and the extra services really start to elevate them to the
Yeah.
next level. And the marketing kit that we kind of talked about is a super good way for them to kind of do that same thing. It's going to get harder and harder to get those listings, particularly if they keep kind of staying a little bit scarce for this time. So really talking to the agents about like, hey, did you use some of those tools in the marketing kit? Did you post some of those tiles out onto your social media? So not so you sell that house, and so when the next person says, oh yeah, I know a realtor, you need to go check out Sue, and somebody goes and Googles them and finds them on Facebook, that they see all the great stuff that they're doing for their listings, when really, it's about that's who they're appealing to. They're appealing to that person that's randomly looking them up and thinking about listing their house. They're not
Right.
necessarily like trying, expecting that one house to get sold from a social media post. And I think as agents start to, think about that and understand it, and of course, like the agents that are already using you guys, they get the value that you're bringing to them, the professionalism of having those there. So it's easy to talk to them about like, hey, what are you posting on social media? Are you using some of these tools? Like, make sure that you're putting it out there because of the next listing, not because of this one.
Totally. I tell
Right.
my brokers, I say, bring a tablet with you, have one of your property websites queued up. And when you get there, show them and say, hey, this is the whole marketing package that I offer for my clients, and show them the property website, and they'll be blown away. They'll be like, wow, this looks so good. And they'll see the drone, they'll see the video, they'll see all of it. And that's going to help you land the deals.
I always like to tell people on the marketing kit, right? You guys kind of mentioned it earlier, like you want me to build you a website? What are you
Yeah.
talking about? Why would I ever go and build you a website? But
Yeah.
in our system, right, like all you have to do is click a different button when you're going to deliver to your clients, and the website's already set up, all the social media tiles are already built, all the flyers are ready to go. It is like literally no more work than it would be if you're just delivering your photos to your client through our system, as it is for them to just click one different button to get the full marketing kit, which is just awesome.
Yeah,
Right.
it
And
is a
if
little bit more work on their end because they need to put in the site data. So they have to put in the
Mm-hmm.
information about the property. I made a little Loom video explaining, like walking them through how to use the property website, how to update their profile and all of that stuff. And so it's in the email when I deliver the photos to them. It's in the email, a little link, and they can just click it, watch the little video, and then I don't know how many actually do that, but it's there.
Yeah.
It's there as a resource. So there is a little bit more work on their end, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, work on their end if they want it to look the best it can, right? It
Right.
definitely still looks good. It still works good if they don't put in that info. But right, like as a consumer, if you think about it, yes, I would like to know how many beds and baths this property have
Yeah.
if I'm looking at the property website, or if I'm seeing some social media. We've got a variety of ones that have some info, some that don't.
Oh, I have a question real quick for
Yeah,
maybe an upgrade coming in the future.
sure.
Is there any way that you could set it up where it pulls that data from somewhere when we enter in the address?
We've looked at it a little bit. There's I think a couple like kind of nationwide services that kind of capture that data. We talked to one a while back, and we weren't quite ready for that. And there are like some real interesting things as part of the contract and working with them. So we didn't do that. I think there is a plugin out there for Google Chrome. It's not officially ours. We didn't write it or anything, but one of our customers did. And so in our Facebook group, HD PhotoHub in Focus, if you search probably property data, I think it'll come up, but somebody built a plugin that basically does that.
Oh,
So when
cool.
you're on a site data page, you can click and it'll populate it. So it's actually a pretty quick step that you could do for your clients. Now, if it's already been listed, right? If it's out there somewhere
Okay.
on the internet, it's kind of like the trick to that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And which that info isn't always accurate, right? Like so many
Right.
times I look up the square footage if I'm putting an order in for a client, it's
Yeah.
totally off. And I get a text from my shooter. He's like, that was not a 1,900 square foot house. That was 3,500. And I'm like, okay, you'll get your payout. Don't worry. I will
Sorry.
update it. We
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
fix it. But
That's
they're
a-
messed up because the timeline's off. You know, they thought they had all this time to do it and they didn't. So.
That's a awesome little quick segue into how the ordering stuff works in the background, right?
Mhm.
It's just so easy to change something after an order comes in. Like in that case where you thought it was going to be 1,900 square feet, and if you do your pricing by square footage, you've got your certain product and everything in there. You go out and
Right.
shoot it, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is definitely 3,500. What's going on? It's super easy to change the product after the order before you deliver it to your clients. And even if you're like a photography company that takes payment up front, when you make that change, it'll put a balance onto the order. And you can send it out to your clients, and when they go click to download, photos will be behind that kind of paywall, so it'll stop and be like, oh, it looks like there's a balance of $65 on here. You could give them a note or give them a heads up. Of course, it was changing. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened, but that was definitely a large property. I don't know how we got you ordered on the smaller one. And that's totally a good reason to not, take to collect the full amount right up front either, right?
Right.
So that
Yes.
when you can make those adjustments, and then they can pay the actual amount from the shoot, and that way you're not end up eating any of those refund fees
Yeah,
or
and
anything like that.
I also charge by square footage. So HDPhotoHub has a way for you to have them input the square footage and then it populates all the services with that square footage. So it's very clean on the order form. It's not like they're seeing, six
Right.
different price points for different square footage. It just populates the one that works within that range of square footage. So that's a great feature that I
Yeah.
loved. I was like, ooh, this works.
Yeah, and I
we're
do it.
trying. Oh, go ahead, Neal.
Oh, I was gonna say I do it the same way, but the other great thing about the system is that you're not limited to doing it that way or requiring that they pay. You can even per client, you can kind of change that and say this client's not required to pay to download if you have some unique setup with a certain client that's different because they're your OG client and it's like whatever they want, I don't care. But everybody new pays when they download because who knows who these people are. You can set it up per client, which is pretty cool. But,
Yeah, tons of flexibility in the system. That's the thing when I'm talking to somebody new, and I'm like flexible. Flexible is going to be our word of the day as we go through and I tell you about the system, because really there's so many different ways that real estate photography businesses, run their businesses and do their workflows, and lots of people are successful with different approaches. Like, that's awesome. We knew that going in, so we really built the system with that in mind. Like, hey, we don't care how you run your business to make it successful. We just want to see that you're doing lots of shoots and putting volume through the system. We love it. So if we really built it with the sense of, let's put in configurations so that, for business X, it's going to go this way, but for business Y, it's going to work this other way that they want it. So things like, are you collecting money up front from your clients when they're placing an order? Totally optional. You can do it however you want. You can collect money if you want. You can wait and have them pay on delivery. We even have an option for them to be able to put a deposit. So if you just want a deposit from a client to kind of hold that appointment spot, tons of flexibility in the system.
I offer lifestyle portraits and it's on my order form in HDPhotoHub, and I collect a deposit. Can I set that up for just a single service to request a deposit?
No, it doesn't get that detailed. You can do it
Okay.
for just a certain clients. So kind of like Neal said,
Okay.
you can have some clients that you require them to pay before they download, and other ones that you don't. You can also have some clients that you say, no, I want you to pay up front. Like, you keep canceling our shoots, or we keep getting moved around. Like, I need you to have some skin in the game. Or you could
Ooh.
have just certain clients have a deposit.
Okay, $150 is my cancellation fee. That should be my deposit, because I've had 4 people that haven't paid their cancellation fee. I keep sending them the invoice and they just won't pay it. They're vanished. They're like, gone, never talking to you again, went elsewhere. Or maybe they're not realtors anymore. I don't know what happened to them, but that would prevent that.
Yeah, we had a lot of
Ah,
people start to do that. Like
yeah.
basically the deposit is really just the amount that they like, that they're going to charge if somebody ends up canceling or cancels too late.
Yeah.
Hmm,
Okay,
cool.
I just wrote that on my to-do list.
I love it. See, we're just sitting here
Learning
making
new things.
ideas. I
Yeah.
know it's fun.
Thank you, Ian. Always coming up with
Yes.
new ways to make my life easier. Thank you.
Right? It's we get like this unique advantage that we get to talk to so many different real estate photography businesses. So when we get to come on or just when I'm talking to anybody really, like talking to new customer or whoever I'm interacting with, it's like, well, broadly I've seen a lot of companies do this and it feels very natural. It feels like normal. And then I realized like, oh yeah, that's right. Like other than like the Facebook groups or whatever, some podcasts like you guys are doing to kind of put out information on how you're running your business and those changes, like we're a little bit of like a resource in that case where we just talk to so many different people and we kind of start to hear what works and we see through the numbers what works that people are doing out there and what's different in it. Like I said, it's so awesome that people can use such different workflows and all achieve great results, and also that there's a system out there that supports all of those different workflows.
Well,
Yeah.
dude, it's also great that, when you're coming from me starting out as just a single shooter and just being excited that I was now a full-time, single shooter, and then going, okay, maybe I'm going to take on somebody else, that the system's already set up to handle that. And it's, oh, I have another shooter, it's already there. I add the other shooter. And then even to then when I'm like, I'm going to try shooting now in Florida, how do I do that? Because I don't want them booking this guy who's in Florida for a New Hampshire shoot and setting up that radius where they can only travel a certain distance. And then also on top of that, I'm like, oh, well, this guy he wants to go travel farther, but I don't want him to drive 2 hours and waste his day without getting some compensation. And oh, look at this, there's a mileage thing I can do. And it's automatically calculating that in the shopping cart. And now he's getting paid for his mileage and I did nothing, which is
Right.
cool. Besides set it up.
And
Yeah.
the shooters have a lot of flex. So I have contracted workers. So I can't tell them when to work. I mean, people book them, but they set their own hours. So they can go in and say, I only want to work from 9
Right.
to 12 on Monday. And then maybe I have to get the kids from school. And then I want to work from 3 to 6 p.m. So they can break up their day and say, I'm only available these 2 times during this day. They can
Mhm.
do twilight or no twilight. They can work weekends. Like they set their times that they want to work. And then they also can draw on a little map the radius that they want to work in and what areas they want to work in. And it's pretty precise. I mean, it's like you click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. So you can really customize it to exactly where you want to go. It's not just like a circle radius. Because, like, for me in Washington, we have like islands that we don't want to
Oh,
take a ferry to go. We don't service the islands. I'm not taking a ferry. Sorry, guys. So it's
interesting.
like with a
Interesting.
circle that wouldn't work because Seattle's right on the water, and then the islands are out west.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it works really well. And then also you can say how many shoots you want to take a day. So let's say a shooter says 3 is my max per day. They can max
Yep.
out at 3. And then you can also input, like, I want a 15-minute buffer between each shoot. So let's say you're a newer
Yes, I do
shooter
that
and
too.
you're not
Yeah.
confident that you're going to be able to do the shoot in 1 hour, even though that's my standard, then they can add that extra 15-minute buffer to get to the next shoot. So,
Yep.
and
Yep.
it calculates, like, between shoots, it calculates drive time and calculates in traffic patterns, which is crazy. It's really cool. It's a great system.
I didn't even coach you on any of that.
No,
You're
that's just,
killing
I
me.
just learned all.
I
I mean,
know, right?
well,
So
I've
just
watched
knows,
every
man.
single
Knows.
video, Ian.
Just
Knows
so you
the
know,
system.
Ian hasn't coached us on any of this.
No.
This is just because we use it
learned
and
it.
learned it and like, oh, that's how I can do it. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
no,
it's nice that
really
the
cool.
versatility is there. And if you ever like not sure how to do it, because there are a lot of ways to do it. The other thing that's great is there are real people that will answer you. And my experience has been that I get response very quickly. I usually I've called on occasion, but I've also usually shoot an email to support at HDPhotoHub, and I get a response really quickly back from them. And so I've had, that's a big thing. If you can't, it doesn't matter what your software is. If you can't get somebody to help you when you're stuck or you don't know how to set something up, that's not going to fly. And so it's great that the support is there as well.
Yeah, our support team's awesome, right? We've got if for the people out there that use our chat feature, Heather on chat is just an absolute rock star. She's just awesome all the time. Lila's our director of customer service, so she manages that team, and she grabs a bunch of calls and emails. I'm sure that if you've ever emailed us, you've probably at some
Yeah.
point went back and forth with Lila or else somebody else from the team.
Yeah,
my
she just helped me
experience
actually
anyways.
with a question I had about refunding or whatever about, and now I have it set up for the balance. She has the account balance, and now I can see, and I love that you can see now if there's a balance that they owe and stuff like that. I don't know if that's new or I just turned it on or what, but I love seeing that there's a balance that they still owe or something like that. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, since we were talking about sort of like the service areas and
Mm.
expanding, and you mentioned the ferries, Rachel, it was, I think sometime last year we added in some more support where you can say, like, there's some parts of the country where you could take a ferry to get there, or you could like drive around and actually drive.
Mm.
Okay.
There's flexibility in there to be able to say like, hey, I don't ever want to take a ferry, even
Okay.
if
Just like
the
the
routing says that that's
maps,
the fastest way. Yeah.
avoid
It's
tolls, avoid
yeah,
ferries.
yep. You
I
can,
love
yeah,
it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Tolls too. Tolls too is another
that's
piece that
awesome.
we put in there that you can, like, hey, if you don't want to pay any tolls, that's fine with us. Just tell us,
I'd
and
I'd be
we'll map
driving
it that
forever.
way. Yeah.
Av-
Just pay the damn
avoid
tolls.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Oh,
avoid trolls under bridges.
yeah. We
You
have
got
that here.
Yeah,
Billy
that's a
Goat
real thing
Grubbs.
in Seattle, Neal.
It is. There's a troll, a really big one.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.
There's like an actual like statue or something? What?
Yeah, under a bridge. When you come visit, I'll show you. It's the
Oh my God.
Fremont troll.
Yep, Fremont. Yeah, man.
And he's got like a
Gotta-
Volkswagen Bug, I think under his
Oh my,
hand, right? Something like that.
what? Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
It's huge.
Interesting.
It's cool.
Oh, too funny.
One of the tourist traps in Seattle,
Well,
one
yeah.
of many.
It is super cool.
Avoid that tourist trap, right? No trolls.
Mhm.
It's fun.
We're corporate. Our offices are in Spokane, Washington, which is like the other side of the state from where Rachel's at over in Seattle. So we're Pacific Northwest, and we're a full remote team, but most of our team is still in Seattle, or in Spokane, so that we can get together and go out and have fun. And I don't know, occasionally we'll post stuff up on social media when we get to go and do one of those days. I don't know, I'm trying to think what the last one was. Maybe going to like a little baseball game. We've got like
Oh, that's fun.
a AAA team around here that we go and
Yeah.
watch and hang out in the stadium. But
That's so cool.
yeah,
Are-
we have just such a cool team. Like I appreciate you bringing up the support team, Neal, because they
Yeah.
are like they're like the heart and soul of the business and what we're doing. Like we care so much about that, and we care about the relationships that we have with our customers, and like we understand, like in general, just the real estate industry is such a relationship business, right? Like all of your customers are reliant on all of their relationships, and the successful real estate photography companies really understand that. And right, that's why you take such good care of your customers, and they appreciate it. And that's right, it just all trickles on how do you do your business, and we just see that and know it and live it. And so that stuff is just so important to us. So
Yeah,
thank
that
you.
was a big part of like when I signed up for HDPhotoHub, I spent 2 days, pretty much 2 6-hour days. I watched literally every video on how to set it up and like took my time and went through it all and got it all set up. And I had so many questions and Ian was my guy. He was my go-to at that time.
Yeah,
The 2020.
I think Lila was on the team then, but I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I don't think that a lot of the other people that are in our customer service team had started yet, that we were at that point yet. So I got to do a lot of that, right? I mean, like that was probably still in the realms where we only had a handful of employees, and that
Mhm.
was I don't know. I've always enjoyed it, just talking with the businesses and finding out, what are the things that they're most excited about. And now, right? So you had like 2 6-hour days of doing it
Which
earlier
sounds
this.
like a lot, but like I was very detailed. I was amazed by every time I'd watch a new video. I'm like, what? It does that? This is so cool. I was totally nerding out on it. Like, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Life
you can go
changing.
deep. You can
Yeah.
go deep in the
Yeah.
system for sure.
Totally.
Earlier this year, we did a webinar that I always like to like promote to everybody that I'm talking to now. We called it the Power Hour webinar, and it was basically like taking an account that wasn't set up at all and getting it all the way set up and like ready to take orders in an hour now.
Wow.
Right, I'm sort of like a pro in the system, so I could go pretty
Mhm.
fast, and I didn't put a ton of products in there, but it was really like getting everything set up and rolling. And that's like, it's such a good resource. We've got it on our webinar page or on our YouTube channel. You can find it, the Power Hour webinar, and it's
Oh,
just
okay.
like, this is how you get your business set up in an hour. We do so kind of like what Rachel mentioned, where she had chatted in for some help, and I think that maybe we scheduled a call and talked, and she'd watched a bunch of the videos that we did. We do complimentary onboarding as well. So we've got Shay. There's probably at least if some of your listeners out there are already using us, then they've probably talked to Shay at some point during their setup process. He'll just kind of jump on with the business and spend like an hour just talking about, what are you trying to do? Tell me about your business. Where, what are you most interested in? Do some demo. And then he'll just kind of keep in touch and do like, give him a little bit of homework. Like, all right, you got to go put in your services. Like, we don't know your services as well as you do. Go ahead and put those in, get your pricing set. Tell us what your team, who your team members are. And he'll check in and jump on another call and be like, all right, where are we at in the configuration? How else can we help? And really just, reaching out to us just to talk about like, what are you looking to do? What do you, why are you looking for a system like ours? We just love talking to people to find that out and help them out and get them going. We've got ways for people to be able to import client lists from a spreadsheet. So somebody who's just getting started, they can email us and we'll email us a spreadsheet and we'll be able to get that popped in and imported so that when the clients go to order on their shiny new shopping cart page, that when they put in their email address, it already knows who the client is and it just is a seamless experience for them.
That's awesome. Yeah. The one thing I remember in the beginning was just how responsive you were. Cause I was like in the thick of it, when I was writing a list of like things I needed help with, but if I ever got stuck, I could just message you and you were so responsive. And I know that was kind of your early days. So maybe people are thinking like, oh, well, it was only a couple guys. It was easy then. But even today, like through the years, I've had a lot of dumb questions. I had a really dumb question the other day, and I didn't even tell you, Ian, that what I did. When I'm like, I'm not on the calendar. I don't know where my shoots are. I had my name unchecked. I had my name unchecked. Yeah, it was that. I was like, thank you, figured it out.
Yeah, it was just visual. It was just
so
visual.
dumb.
It was
just
okay.
like, oh,
Everything
Rachel, pay attention.
Everything was good.
Anyways, they still to this day respond right away, and the chat function is fantastic because they are on it. Like, I think you said it was Heather.
Yeah, Heather's on there a lot. Mai's on there a lot. Yeah, we have like a full customer service team here Monday through Friday, so we don't have them working weekends, but we have great resources. Like you mentioned, a lot of the videos. We've continued to like build that out and add. So now we've have like a whole help center. I don't think that existed. I think mainly we just had the videos when you started, Rachel.
Yeah.
And now we've got like a whole help center that's very searchable with just tons of different topics in there. We added something new recently that's like these guided tours that are pretty cool. So you can like click this little red help thing that's down in the corner and type in something for guided tours. And if we've got, like how do you go set up your copyright to appear on the, on the download page when the clients go to download, and it'll walk you through on which part of the system you go to go set that up, and it's like step by step, and it sort of like takes control of your screen or whatever, right? And like highlights the box that you're supposed to do and gives you a little bit more information.
Oh, that's neat.
I hadn't seen that yet. That's cool. Nice.
Yeah, it's cool. It kind of hides down there, a little question mark with the red in the corner.
Oh, and I forgot that too. So many things that I've set up and just forgot are in place. But yeah, when they go to download the photos now, there's a pop-up that they have to acknowledge our license agreement, and they scroll down, they have to check it. So I have that set up too. That's another great thing. You don't have to think about it anymore, which is set up, which is pretty cool. And this is the other thing, is if you're trying to set yourself apart, you really look professional when you've got all these services going, and people go and they go, I have it set up in my website that there's just like a book media services. They click that, it brings them right into the system to book stuff. And so you just look really slick. They don't get this feeling that you're just this amateur who doesn't know what they're doing. They're like, oh, these are legit. When if they don't know you from, anybody else, they never met you before, or whatever the case might be. It's definitely, I've heard them mention a couple times in passing, like, oh yeah, you're going to love his system and stuff like this when people are talking about me to other agents and stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It really raises up the professionalism, right? Like you get, it doesn't have our brand anywhere on there. It's all about your guys' brand and the photography company. And so when it's white labeled like that, and they even just a simple thing like going to get their photos to download them, like the difference of I go to Neal's website to go and download my photos, like as I'm like a Mr. Agent, it's nothing like Bob Smith, who I used when they just sent me that Dropbox link and I just clicked it. Like it was like,
right.
Bob was amateur hour. Like Neal's a pro. Like he has a whole website and system.
Yeah, and that's
one of the
app.
Now there's an app.
Oh yeah,
we have to talk about the app.
Absolutely, we do.
Absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and the Google Drive links is one thing that that separates us too. When somebody's brand new, I always tell them, oh, they always want to call like a new person. Sometimes they'll call me, right? And I'll say, oh yeah, you just book it all online, because I hate dealing with it. I want them to just, I don't like the book and forth, back and forth of trying to like Tuesday at 2, and they're like, get back to me. Oh, they can't do that. So I was like, nope, you just go to the link, and I have a little video I send them. Here's how you sign up and book. And I tell them the other great thing about it is, once we start working together, all of your media is going to be in this same login. You don't got to go searching through emails to find some Google Drive link. It's all in your login. You'll find it there a year from now, 10 years from now. It's all there if you ever need it. So they love that too. They're like, well, really?
Client portal. All your shoots live in one place forever.
That's right.
They're there. Well, they fall asleep because it wants to save on storage. I've had a few emails from clients. Hey, we just are relisting this property that we took off for a while, and none of the media is available. Well, is it erased? I'm like, oh no, it just goes to sleep. Let me wake it up for you. They're like, okay.
Yeah.
And which makes sense.
Right. Like once it's like, way gone. We just have a different way to store those ones, so they all pull back in like a minute. But yeah, we keep them in a different spot. So once a house is sold and the agent doesn't need the photos at that time, and it's been whatever 6 months, that they pop in, and it's super easy to have it wake up. And actually, depending on where the client goes, it will auto wake up too, which is pretty cool too.
Okay. When I first set this up, I put one of my clients had been using me for like 2 years, and she'd seen my systems, whatever. And I sent her a property website and the marketing kit and said, hey, I just put your listing into this. Like, let me know what you think of this. Like, is this something you would use and something you would pay for? And she wrote back, she was like, this is amazing. I absolutely love this. And I was like, yes, winning.
Yeah.
So and it is that level of professionalism for sure. Because on my website, it's like book online. I have a little button, book online. And then I have another tab that's like client login. So I'm forcing my clients to go, well, unless they bookmark it and save that website, they're going to go to my website and see all my branding, all this offerings, and then they're going to click on that login now. So it keeps all the branding and everything kind of cohesive too, when your website and all your back end stuff is the same.
Yeah. And the great thing too about some of this, and we didn't really explain, but the marketing kit is a whole bunch of resources that's automatically generated off of your photos and off of the property. So you get, for that property, a dedicated website, which is really slick, because if you took photos, if you took Matterport, if you did a video, you attach all that stuff just like you normally do, you upload it basically, and it automatically appears in this really slick website. And then it also does stuff like gives you information about like local schools and the demographics of the area. And there's also this like a world map where you can kind of zoom in and see the whole area. So if you're not from that area, you go to this thing and you just see this map. Like one time there was a house I had right on the coastline. You can see the whole coastline and go, oh, this is right in that beautiful beach area. And you can zoom right in or zoom out. And so it's super slick. And then on top of that, we are always telling our agents to be branding themselves and get your face on whatever you can. They can't put their face on MLS stuff, right? So the website allows them to put their portrait right there on that listing as well, their contact information. It also has a contact form, which they love, that you can just click on that. So if somebody sees the home and wants to reach out, it goes directly to them, not to Zillow that they got to pay for it or something like that, directly to the agent. And so that's all super slick and done automatically. And we literally don't touch it and don't do anything. It just happens. On top of that, they get these social media templates, which are like default templated photos off of the photos, and you can customize to drag and drop any photo you want from your gallery, and you can change the text, you can add stuff, and there's a whole bunch of different formats for different social media styles, and there's different like kind of template of like just listed, sold, or like some funny quirky ones too. And so you can totally play around or make a custom one. So they love that. And then they can do a printable flyer. Rachael has them add a QR code and print it up and put it at their listing, for like, whatever. There's so much you can do with it.
Or their silent talkers or neighborhood flyers they're sending out, like put that QR code on everything. Everyone knows how to use QR codes now.
Yeah. And then also they get a automatic slideshow video. So even if, everybody knows that video helps sell houses, it's great. So even if you didn't get a full on video from us, you can still have this animated slideshow video, and it's a couple more hits. Even if you've got a regular video, you can throw that up on social media as an agent as well. So it's more hits for your listing and makes the agent look like they're doing all this marketing stuff, which makes them feel sick. You know what I mean?
And it's formatted for Instagram and Facebook. So you have the square and the
Right.
horizontal format, which is fantastic. And Pinterest, which
Yeah, I was going to say, even
Pinterest is
Pinterest.
underutilized. I was just thinking, I was like, I need to be on Pinterest more. Like, I think I need to do some paid ads on Pinterest.
Yeah, that marketing kit it really does make you look like you're offering everything under the sun for real estate.
Yeah.
So
It's so awesome. There's so many great tools in there for the agents, and kind of as you mentioned, the whole like, can you have your branding on there as an agent or not? We actually have both versions of the property website where they can
right.
have a branded version, and then in some areas the MLS will allow them to add links, so they can add an unbranded version that doesn't have any of your info, but it
Yep.
still has all the awesome media that you guys captured all in one spot, right? Like combining the photos and the video in a nice presentation. I feel like, all real estate photographers, I'm sure anybody who's offering property websites has heard it from an agent, like, I don't really need one. I get one from a brokerage, or, I put it on realtor.com, or I put it on Zillow and it's fine. Like, it's all right if you're just doing photos. But as soon as you start bringing in, 3D tours, and you're bringing in video and how those other systems are working with the presentation of that, you really want, a website that is dedicated to it so that all that stuff can present well. The other thing that I like to kind of remind the real estate photography companies about, like when they're speaking to their agents, is exactly what Neal said. He said, it's got the contact form on there so that it's not going through Zillow, it's not going through somebody else who's taking those leads, it's direct to them. But also it's branded to only them and only that agent, right? There's no other agents appearing off to the side, and it's all about that property too. So it's not other homes that are similar and sending them off somewhere else to go and do that. If you're an agent out there spending your hard-earned money on, paid advertising or whatever, you want to make sure that wherever you're sending them, that you're really sending them to a spot where the agent's going to get the most value, and they're the one getting all of the value out of that.
So, Ian, when you go to activate a site and you want to give someone a property website and marketing kit, there's two options. You can either buy now or you can go live now. And the difference is if you buy now, it's not going to activate that property website and make it live because it gets pushed out. When you go live, the property website and marketing kit gets, or not the marketing kit, but the property website gets published like somewhere on the internet, Google or something, right?
The
Can you explain
interwebs.
that?
Yeah,
Because I've had
Neal's
clients who
got
like,
it.
we've made the mistake and made it live before it's even on the MLS, and they call me in a panic. They're like, oh my gosh, I've had someone call me, asking about the property and I haven't put it out there. Did you do that? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I have no idea. And then come to find out, I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, we accidentally made it live and it got pushed out to Google or something. So can you explain where that goes when they go live?
Yeah. Usually the main spot that that happens is all of a sudden somebody searches the address, and what they'll find is the YouTube video. So like a lot of people will have a YouTube channel set up either for your business, or maybe your client has a YouTube channel. We have an integration where we can automatically push up some of the property site videos or the teasers when it goes live. And so, right, Google and YouTube are all one thing. And so, yeah, right. So as soon as somebody puts that address in, it's like, oh, hey, you probably want to watch this video about this property right here. That's kind of the most common way. And then once agents, if they add the unbranded URL, right, so the version of it that they can put into the MLS, most of the time that's going to get synced up over to like realtor.com and Zillow. And we actually do kind of a cool thing when that happens, right? So you have to use the unbranded inside the MLS, right? We got to keep it there so that the buyer's agents feel comfortable, right? All of those good reasons from many moons ago on why that stuff exists.
Right.
But so the unbranded link ends up going to realtor.com, but what we do is we actually watch for traffic coming from there. And when we see that, we actually switch it back to the branded version, because it's okay on realtor.com for them to have the branded version. It's okay for them on Zillow to have all their representation. So we actually swap it so that the person looking at the property website gets that full experience.
Slick.
And right, so that's what you see like on the weekly traffic reports. You end up starting to see like, oh, this listing's got, traffic from Facebook and traffic from realtor.com and traffic from Zillow. We track those and report that, and, kind of make it a nice little tool for the agents to be able to subscribe their homeowner to if they want, or they can just subscribe themselves, and they'll get like a kind of that weekly update of where's that property website getting traffic from, what's working. It's awesome for the agents that have that good social media presence, especially the ones that are out doing like paid advertising, because it helps them understand a little bit more on, is it working? When
Yeah,
I'm
where are
putting
the
that
leads coming from?
investment, yeah, like are people actually seeing it, and how's
Yeah.
that going?
Okay, I feel like that's something I need to watch a video on that so I fully can wrap my brain around it, and then do like a couple tip Tuesdays on how they can utilize that. So I feel
Yeah,
like
totally.
so much of our job as photographers is educating our brokers on how to use our platforms and what we can offer. Because I can say, oh, I have this great marketing kit, but half of my brokers have no idea how to post on social media or don't really do it properly, So it's like, I even thought about making like a 5-day posting challenge when you get a new listing. So,
Yeah,
day one, post your reel. Day two, post your just listed. Day three, post this, like keep them going so they have an idea of like a schedule on what to post.
Yeah, and right, they're gonna hear from their homeowner how
Mhm.
excited they were that they saw that marketing out there, and they're gonna see the
Yeah.
results, and all of a sudden they're gonna be like, man, I need to be
How
doing this on
sold?
every, yeah, like why don't
Day
I do this
five,
on
you're going to
every
put
listing?
sold, listing sold
Right,
from your
right.
templates. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Your 5-day plan to sell this house. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about the app now, huh? So this is a
Ah,
big deal, I think, for us on our side of things, but also I think especially on the realtors side of things, because Rachel and I have mentioned numerous times that one of the big things we run into is a lot of these agents are not tech savvy. And so to have an app offering as well, that's also white label with your business, that makes you look super fancy. First of all, what, you got your own app, but that, helps streamline some of those things so that they can just, they see the photos on their phone and then they can just throw it right wherever they want to from the app, is probably the slickest thing that I'm excited about. But what else should we be excited about for the app offering, Ian?
yeah, I think the agents being able to get in there and just share their media right to whatever social media like that they prefer, right? If they're going to Facebook or Instagram or whatever it is, like the fact that you can just go straight from the app to the social media on their phone just makes it so easy for them, right? The average real estate agent, like 50-year-old female, right? Like they get social media, they know how to work their phone, but right, like getting them to go and like download zip files, and all of a sudden they're like, well, what is a zip file, and what's
Yeah. How do I open
happening,
it?
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And right now you're asking them to download that and transfer it to your phone and then go post it online, but the app just simplifies that so much on being able to go, just for the clients to be able to go to the marketing kit in the app and just do like a one tap share, and now they've got all the social media stuff that they've already have connected on their phone. It's all native through there. So it's like the apps that they use, or just even sending it into like a text message, like they can do whatever they want, like however they're communicating and using their phone to get information to people. It's just like one click away on that share stuff, which is super cool, and having your brand on their phone so that maybe they've got a folder of their business apps, and now all of a sudden your photography company is in that business app. It's just more and more branding, and again, more and more of that, like the bar is raised on the professionalism.
They're
Like,
just
oh my
more
gosh,
sticky, as Neal would say.
Yes,
right,
yes, right,
right,
right. Because they can, through the app, they can also do the booking through the app too, right?
yep.
And so one more thing, they don't have to go find a website or remember what was Neal's website. He just changed his branding, and I can't remember what it is. Let me call them. They just have the app and they book right there, and it makes it sticky, right? Because yeah, you have it already. They're like, oh, Neal's right here. I'll just book that from that.
Yeah. And
Right?
I've had clients say like I've tried to order on my phone and it works, but it's not as good as like I'll just order when I get home on my computer. It's just easier. So now that they have the app, it's it's designed to be used on your mobile. It just makes sense. Now, is the little logo, is that it's our logo, correct? Like it
Oh
says
yeah.
FMC or whatever you want it to be. So it's
Yeah,
branded
100
exactly for you.
percent. So fully white labeled, down to what we do when somebody wants to get the app from us is they schedule an appointment with Shay, and Shay walks them through the process of actually getting your own Apple developer account and your own Google developer account. So he jumps on like a screen share Zoom call to go through step by step, like here's what you do, here's how you get that set up. And so even when they just start like searching your company inside of the app store to go and download it, like everything is like produced by your company. It's the app that's your logo. All of the screenshots from inside of the app, you can pick whatever property that you've shot, or you can even do a dummy property in there, however you
Cool.
want. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's like all the way white labeled to you and all about your business. Like we're really, again, we're just the tech team in the
That's awesome.
background, helping out the business. Like, oh my gosh, how'd you get an app? How'd you do that? So cool. Like you said, it really elevates you against the other photographers that might be in your market of, well, my photographer has an app. Does your photographer have an app? And they're
Yeah.
like, no. Who has a
My
Yeah.
photographer
photography
is the
business that,
best.
right? Like, come
Yeah.
on,
Right.
give me, like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And we were able to do it in a way that we were able to keep the price low on it, so that it's really really pretty affordable even for new businesses that are getting started and just right out the gate. Like, okay, I'm gonna come out and be like, we are the most professional option in the area. We've got an app. We've got our whole delivery platform that is built to our business. It's just a cool thing for companies to be able to say.
Oh, I just saw you have some kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, Ian, but is there some kind of like app only promos that you can do to kind of get people to use
Yeah.
the app?
Yeah, so you can run a promo code. So like it's a great tool for when you first launch your app. Like why,
Mm.
you can tell them about it when you're delivering in the delivery email. There's a little spot for them to be able to click to download the app, and it'll recognize if they're on a phone, and on the delivery page, it'll be like, "Hey, we've got an app. You could go download it."
Cool.
But it does. And makes it really easy. It's really great.
That's
Cool.
awesome. Well, I think this is a great time to mention that we have an incredible deal for you. If you want
Yeah.
to sign up, let's talk about signing up first, because that would be step one. If you're not with HD Photo Hub, you can sign up and get 50 free credits when you use the promo code STS as shooting the shit. If you want to try out their app, let's say you're a current user and you're like, okay, this app is amazing, but it's a lot of money. I want a discount. They will give you the app for 1,000 credits, which is 33% discount if you just mention Shooting the Shit podcast on your configuration call.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
huge
yeah.
discount. I'm like, wow, that's very generous. Thank you, Ian.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're,
Love it.
we're excited for more businesses to have that opportunity to get an app into their
Yeah.
hands, right? And for those that aren't familiar with us and like the credit system and all that stuff, so the normal price on the app is 1,500 credits, which breaks down to $1,000. You can get it a little bit less if you're buying a lot of credits up ahead. You can get it as low as $900, but right with that 33% discount by saying, "Hey, I heard about the app on the Shooting the Shit podcast," and just put STS in there on how you heard about it, and we'll get it all the way down to just 1,000 credits, which was really like about $650, breaks down right around there. I mean,
That's
that
awesome.
is for a business to be able to say like, "Hey, I have my own app." What a
Wow.
screaming deal! Like
Yeah.
it's amazing,
And
Yeah,
really.
that
some
is
of your
cool.
competitors charge every month, and that adds up. I mean, 4 months
Mhm.
in and you've already paid 650. So it's worth switching.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say it.
we don't believe in the
I
monthly
like,
subscription pricing and stuff for this industry, right?
Yep,
We
yep,
just
yeah.
yep.
One and done.
right. We
That's
I love
want,
it.
that's
yeah.
that's one of the, so I actually had one of your competitors reach out to me, and I was like flattered that they knew I existed. Like, hey, we saw your website, and we'd love to give you a tour of the system. And I thought, well, what the heck? Well, can't hurt. And showed me the system. They do a lot of the standard stuff, and it was interesting, right? And I liked hearing about something different. It's always nice to hear what the competition's doing to make sure that you stay on top of the game for your own business too, right? And so, the biggest difference that I would say, and the thing that I have no qualms about whatsoever with HD Photo Hub, is I don't worry about any monthly payment. So, COVID hits and everybody shuts down for 3 months or a year or 2 years. You don't have that monthly payment still going every time. But this other competitor, you pay a monthly fee based on an average, like, I guess. And I'm not an expert in this, but it was based on like what you think you're going to do
Like
for
your
business.
estimated volume or whatever.
Right, estimated
Yeah.
volume. And then you're paying, and then I was like, oh, you have an app too, and that sounded interesting. But that also was, you had to pay for it forever for a monthly fee for that as well. And it wasn't like a nickel either. So, I was like, that was the thing I really couldn't wrap. I was like, I don't think I can that doesn't make sense for the way my industry works, that I fluctuate up and down. I only pay with HD Photo Hub when I need to deliver photos, which means I'm making money. So to me, it doesn't feel like a cost. It's just, doing business. And then, so That's the biggest thing I would say. And the bigger reason for, I thought even myself, if I wanted to do that and take that chance for myself, sure, but I couldn't wholeheartedly like be on a podcast and recommend to other people that they should do that. That just isn't to me a smart business practice. Was my biggest problem with it. I'm like, I could never see doing that. It doesn't matter what the offering is. If I always have to have that extra overhead every month when I don't need it, that doesn't make sense business wise for me.
Well,
So
and it's out of alignment. That's the biggest thing, for us when we're trying to figure out what the right pricing structure would be, and we really went through this quite a bit when we were getting ready to launch the app and things, and trying to be like, all right, how do we want to do this? But we set up our pricing structures not to have the monthly fees because ups and downs of the market, of course. And like you mentioned, right, like when you're getting paid to do a shoot, that's a great way to then say, all right, that's I pay my editors when I do a shoot to
Mhm.
edit my photos. I pay my delivery platform when I
You
do a
can
shoot to do
budget
that.
that in, like,
Yeah,
for sure. Like,
right.
okay, it's going to cost me $5 to deliver or 5 credits, which if you buy in bulk, it's like 350 or whatever, right? It's like I can
Yeah.
budget that into every shoot and I know for sure what my costs are going to be.
right.
Right. And
Yeah.
it's just such the alignment that it creates between what we want for our business and what you guys want in your photography business. Like that was the like deal, for us is, how do we say, to our customers, we want you to be most successful as possible. Like we want to be motivated to make sure that our system is great and it can support as much volume as you're capable of doing, and that we want you to have more volume. When you start
Right.
with us, whenever it is, whether it's this year or whether it's 3 years ago or 2 years ago, right? Like you're at one volume. All we want in our business, the whole way that we make money, the whole way that everything's like structured, is that we want you to grow, and we want to see you doing more shoots than you have been doing in the past.
Yeah.
And like it's just total alignment. Like everybody wants that in their business. You want to be out doing higher volume. And so we
And that
don't.
incentivizes you, Ian, HD Photo Hub, to create better systems and better things that we can offer our clients to grow. So it's like really a win-win. Like if we
Right, the
win, you win. If
alignment.
you if you come up with new stuff, we win. It's great.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Yeah,
The
that
alignment
alignment's
is so
huge.
important. And we
Yeah.
don't charge for like, you grow your team. I don't know how many photographers you had shooting with you when you first started with us, Rachel, but were you up to about 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there for
Last summer,
photographers?
when I first started, it was just me and Colin. I had one gal that worked for me before for a little bit, but that didn't work out. And then Colin came on, and then I just quickly grew. And I think the max we had was like 8, something
Mm,
like that. It was insane. It was too many. I was like, I don't want
yeah.
to be big. I just want to be like manageable size.
Yeah.
And now there's 4 of us,
Yes,
so,
and we
which is
don't
perfect.
charge. We don't charge for more team members. Like we
Yeah,
want you to grow your team because we
Mm,
want your volume to increase, because that's how we make money too. And
exactly.
yeah.
right, it's just this nice harmony situation that we've got
Yeah.
of good alignment, and
Yeah.
everybody wanting the most shoots possible for the companies that are using us.
And I'll say this too, as a last little piece, the most appealing thing to me for that competitor was the app at that point. I was like, oh, the app.
Mm.
And I was concerned at, for somebody who's concerned about paying a monthly fee, it's somebody who's not just, I'm not just running around loaded, right? All these fees all add up and they matter to me. So the thing I was thinking was like, oh, they do the monthly app, and it sounded better because the barrier, the barrier to get into that app was a monthly fee that I was like, oh, maybe I can justify that smaller, couple $100 every month versus having to do a big chunk up front with HD Photo Hub. But especially now with the discount that you're going to get by mentioning the podcast, that's just like a couple months of doing it with it, and then that one would have gone on forever indefinitely. So if it's an absolute no brainer. Like, why would you do that at all? Get the app for, so would you say it was somewhere around 600 credits now?
Yeah, so it'll be 1,000 credits, which in
Of
dollars breaks down to like $650 about.
Because
$650 to get into that. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you buy the credits, you can buy 500 credits. What's the discount on 500 credits?
Yeah, let's see. So if you buy, so it's $500 for 750 credits, and that
Okay,
gives you a 33% discount. So
there you go.
basically, like if you go into like marketing kit or delivery prices, like instead of it being $15 for a marketing kit, you're down to $10 for a marketing kit. Instead of it being $5 for a delivery, you're down to $3.33 for a delivery. Like
Right.
it adds up, when you're shooting
Yeah.
a couple thousand properties per year, and you go back and go, man, all right, like, yeah, I'm glad that I got that credit discount to
Totally.
do
Yeah.
that.
And you can
Yeah.
buy more. There's like an option to
Mhm.
spend like $7,500. I'm always like, I should just do that because it's almost like 50% off. But then I'm like, oof, that's a lot.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm
we
just gonna
work
do
with
the 500. It's on like auto. It just
I do.
goes. I'm
I
like,
do the
whatever. It's
150
fine.
every time. 150, 150.
See,
I
Yeah.
used to do
little
I
baby
used to do
steps.
every site, and Rach would get a kickback every single time. You must have got an email every 2
Oh,
seconds.
so like multiple. I'm like, gosh, Neal had 3 jobs yesterday. Good job, Neal.
Right?
Yep. Yep.
And now I do at least the 150 bucket, purchase or whatever. But yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's
Totally.
We,
Well,
we tried to put that pricing out there so really we could work with businesses of all sizes. So if you're just getting
yes. It's
going
great.
and
Mhm.
right, like like we get it. You don't want to put like a huge investment into the system that you've never used, and maybe you want to experience it first, or you don't have the volume to get that discount yet. That's okay, right? And then
Yeah.
so we work with brand new people that are like single shooter, just getting started, like they just like we talked about earlier, they just quit their full-time job and
Yeah.
now they're starting their own business and they're so stoked. And then we work with like enterprise sized people that have like 100, 150, 50 shooters, all working for them,
Yeah.
and they're nationwide. And right, like at that point, yeah, they're buying a lot of credits and putting a lot of investment into their business because they know that our system's, stable and strong and, not running into issues. Like we understand from as a technology company for you guys, right? When we're handling the booking and we're handling the delivery back to your clients, those are such critical moments in your business when a client's interacting
Mhm.
with us that we just know, like, it's not like downtime is not acceptable. There's no such thing as downtime. We put that, we really structured our business to make sure that we weren't trying to be the lowest price option out there. We're trying to be the best option out there, the most stable. We're reinvesting back into site security and into all the different hosting and making sure everything can run fast and making sure that it's stable and making sure that everything gets tested when it's created. And there's so many moving pieces in the back end to make sure that everything just always works. It just always works when you go to book. It always works when you go to deliver. It's so important to us because we understand how important that is to your business. Like without that, all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do?
yeah.
Mm.
That's
No,
awesome.
it is, and it is very slick. Like when you just go and click through photos, there's a lot of media up there. And if you go through, click through, or hit play on videos and stuff like that, I've never had a problem with responsiveness and all that. And that is super important. Yeah, because who wants to go, get their photos and click on something and just have lag, that's
Oh.
the pinwheel of death or something like that. So yeah, no, it's a good
And we're
point.
like millennials. I mean, the Gen X and the ones after us are even more impatient than we are.
Yeah,
I can only
totally.
imagine. Yeah. So,
Love it.
well, I think we have gotten so much good information out of you, Ian. Thank you. And Ian, HD Photo Hub is one of our first sponsor of the podcast.
Hey.
We talked last November at PMRE about this, Ian. I was like, we might want to talk to you about sponsorship. And he was like, oh, yeah, we're on board. Totally call me. And I
Yeah.
finally this summer emailed him and I was like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. So it's awesome to have you on. And we're not just saying this because we're sponsored, but we're saying it because we wholeheartedly believe in you guys and we love
Yeah.
the product you've produced. And yeah,
It
you
helps
guys are
us
great.
every day.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. It's
Yeah.
it's an honor to be part of so many real estate photography companies out there, as the back end. And we love doing things like this, sponsoring the podcast, or you mentioned we were at the PMRE conference and
Mhm.
sponsoring those events. We want to just be present in the real estate photography community, so we try to do things like this when we can.
Yeah.
And it's just super fun. So yeah, I was excited to get that email. And then especially be talking about, the series that you were doing and how we were such a big part of the business that you wanted to invite us on. That was so awesome. So thank you guys for having me.
Of course.
Thanks
Of
for being a
course.
part
Thanks,
of it.
Ian.
Appreciate it. Yeah. And you guys are just like real dudes. Like I never feel uncomfortable around you. I just get a good, solid, wholesome vibe when I'm with you guys. So, and yeah, I met you in person at PMRE for the first time and I kind of walked by and you were like, Rachel. And I was like, oh my gosh, hi.
Yeah.
But it had probably been a year since I had messaged you because I've been chatting on the chat and you weren't in charge of that anymore. But yeah, it was good to see you and catch up. And yeah, you guys are just good people. So you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
good
so
things.
fun. anytime we get to meet people in person, it's so fun for us. So like going to those conferences and the things that we get to go out and to do when we get that, like the connect, like I said, the connection really does matter to us. That we're in there and yeah, we're just regular people behind the scenes, or we're very transparent, we're very authentic with our customers. Like the end of the day, we're trying to just do the best thing that we can do to help your guys' business and be there to support it. And we just want to see everybody grow, your businesses, and when your businesses grow, we grow too, and it's super fun.
Yeah, it shows.
Cool.
And that's how I run my business too. So we align at that level too. I know Neal does too.
Yeah.
Just be real.
Totally.
Like everybody wants everybody to win. It's a
Yep.
good, positive environment. So
Raising everybody up for sure.
love it.
Cool. Thanks for being on the podcast, Ian. I'm so excited to have you be here and be a part of our teams and now part of the podcast. So sick.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian.
And again, use the promo code STS if you want to get free credits. And when you sign up for your configuration call to get that app, just mention that you heard it on the podcast. And yeah, you'll get it for 1,000 credits instead of 1,500 credits, which is amazing.
Awesome.
Thanks,
All
Ian.
right. We'll see you
Thank you,
guys on the
guys.
next one. Bye.
All
Thanks,
right,
Ian.
bye.
Bye.